Alexander Thomas Augusta, born 1825, died 1890. African-American physician. Alexander Thomas Augusta's career as a physician was punctuated with firsts. By appealing directly to President Abraham Lincoln, Augusta became the first black to be offered a commission with the U.S. Army's colored troops, the first black man to become the head of a hospital in the United States, and the first black to be appointed to the faculty of the U.S. Medical School. Augusta's leadership helped steer the fledgling Howard University Medical Department through the economic turmoil of 1873, ensuring the school's survival. Born in Norfolk, Virginia, on March 8, 1825, Augusta, like all black Virginians, was barred by state law from learning to read. The Reverend Daniel Payne, later to become a bishop in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, defied the law and secretly taught young Augusta to read. As a youth, Augusta was apprenticed to a Norfolk barber. After learning his trade, he worked his way to Baltimore. There, he cut hair and took private lessons, hoping to learn enough to enter medical school. Augusta then took his ambition to Philadelphia and began private studies with Dr. William Gibson, a faculty member of the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. Gibson was impressed by Augusta's ability and determination. Despite Gibson's support, Augusta was refused entrance in the University of Pennsylvania Medical School because of his race. In 1847, Augusta wed Mary O. Burgoyne, a young woman from Baltimore. The couple set out for California in the gold boom of 1849, hoping to raise enough money to ease Augusta's entry into medical school. After a financially successful 3-year stint, Augusta moved back east to pursue his medical school ambitions. Rejected by schools in Philadelphia and Chicago, he applied to and was accepted by Trinity Medical College of the University of Toronto, Canada. Trinity Medical College of the University of Toronto, Canada. In 1850, Augusta graduated from medical school in 1856. He was promptly appointed head of the Toronto City Hospital, then took charge of an industrial school while building a private practice. In Canada, Augusta's race seemed to pose few professional barriers. Many of the patients in his private practice were white, and his academic and medical colleagues seemed to readily accept him for his medical and leadership skills. Despite the opportunities Toronto made available, Augusta was at heart a patriotic American, and in 1863 he wrote a letter that earned him a place in the National Archives. On January 1st, 1863, Congress passed the Emancipation Proclamation. On January 7th, Augusta penned a letter to President Lincoln. Quote, having seen that it is intended to garrison forts with colored troops, I beg leave to apply to you for an appointment as surgeon to some of the colored regiments, or as physician to some of the depots of freedom. I was compelled to leave my native country and to come to this Canada on account of prejudice against color, for the purpose of attaining knowledge of my profession, and having accomplished that object at one of the educational institutions of the province, I am now prepared to practice it and would like to be in a position where I can be of use to my race. If you will take this matter into favorable consideration, I can give satisfactory references as to character and qualification from some of the most distinguished members of the profession in this city, Toronto, where I have been in practice for about 6 years. Unquote. Lincoln's response to the letter was to issue a presidential commission to Augusta, naming him to the rank of major. Augusta was the first black physician to be granted a commission. with the U.S. Army's colored divisions, and his service throughout the Civil War earned him the distinction of becoming the first black to be promoted to breveted lieutenant colonel U.S. Volunteers. And his service throughout the Civil War earned him the distinction of becoming the first black to be promoted to breveted lieutenant colonel, U.S. Volunteers. In the military, Augusta faced the same intolerance that had barred him from medical schools in the United States. He was once confronted by an angry mob at a train station. His insignia was ripped from his uniform, and only the timely arrival of a group of provost guards saved him from a beating or worse. Initially assigned to the 7th U.S. Colored Infantry at Camp Stanton, Maryland, Augusta was transferred to another post because 2 white officers complained that it was unnatural and degrading to serve under a black man of superior military rank. And although he was a physician, surgeon, and a major, Augusta had to fight for pay commensurate. And although he was a physician, surgeon, and a major, Augusta had to fight for pay commensurate with his skills and rank. For pay commensurate with his skills and rank. Initially, Augusta's military pay was set at $7 per month, and it took the intervention of Senator Henry Wilson of Massachusetts and the Secretary of War to convince the Army that Augusta's compensation should be adjusted. Augusta served most in 1864 in Benedict, South Carolina, and in Baltimore as a military medical examiner on detached duty. Assigned to the Department of the South in 1865 to 1866, he served as head of the Savannah Hospital. Augusta was discharged from the military in October of 1866 with commendations for his meritorious service. He returned to Washington, where he had briefly served as head of the Freedmen's Hospital, the first black man to head a hospital in the United States, and established a private practice. When Howard University organized a Department of Medicine, Augusta was invited to join 4 other physicians to form the nucleus of medical school faculty. Augusta joined the university as a demonstrator in anatomy in 1869. It was another trailblazing achievement for the doctor, who became the first black to hold a faculty position in a U.S. medical school. For the next 9 years, he held various academic appointments at Howard while he continued to serve on the medical staff of the Freedmen's Hospital. Despite his achievements, his military record, his academic standing, and his professional reputation, Augusta was denied membership in the Medical Society of Washington and the American Medical Association. Disturbed by these rejections on behalf of the new generation of black physicians, he was helping to educate Augusta, convince some colleagues to join him in forming the National Medical Association, a professional medical organization built on a non-discriminatory membership policy. Named to the chair of the anatomy department, Augusta's reputation helped the school attract qualified, dedicated faculty members, but none proved more dedicated than Augusta when the Panic of 1873 battered the country's economic health and threatened the financial stability of institutions across the nation, including Howard University. The university faculty voted to waive student tuition until times got better, but only 2 other faculty members joined Augusta in taking dramatic salary cuts to ease the university's financial straits. Augusta remained at Howard until 1877, when the Board of Trustees asked him to step down from the chairmanship of the anatomy department and take over the chair of the pharmacology department. Augusta declined and returned to private practice. He remained in private practice in Washington until his death in 1890 at age 65. He died of pneumonia. His military service entitled him to burial in Arlington National Cemetery. Augusta's original letter to President Lincoln requesting a military appointment is part of the National Archives. Citations and sources of this audio are in the description.